But not everyone feels comfortable being in the middle.
I am from the middle class because that's what I was born and raised, and that's how I live. Socioeconomically, statistically, we are middle class. But we're black middle class, and we will always have that word black in front of us until the day I die.
In a society haunted by race, being both middle class and black poses a special set of dilemmas. Over the last generation, more and more blacks have moved into the ranks of the middle class, highlighting class differences that lurk just beneath the surface of African American life.
Class is a very uncomfortable topic for all Americans, and I think it's especially uncomfortable for Black Americans. I think it's offensive to some people to think that there is a class structure in Black America. I think that's probably rooted in the fact that minorities who have been oppressed in America do not ever want to be perceived as oppressive.
I think poor African Americans believe that we are like white people and that we are uppity.
I can't tell you how many niggas I've been called because I just wanted something better. That's it.
You think you better, you think you cute.
You talk funny, or you think that you're white, or you act white.
It was not a compliment for somebody to say you're bourgeois at all, because it just put you in a different class.
I didn't know bougie growing up. I didn't hear bougie until I was in D.C. I'm sure bougie was born in D.C. And I'm walking down the street and I hear somebody say, "Oh, are you?" Because I wouldn't speak. It was some guys, with no teeth, drinking wine on the corner. And they're like, "Yo, hey, sweetie, yo, baby," and I don't say anything back. And like, "Oh, forget her, she bougie." What the heck is that?
I'm looking for guys who've gone to good colleges. Smart, and went to good colleges because I don't want.
Can't stand a dumb man.
Yeah, can't stand a dumb man, and a guy who's like, who's going to a good school. That's pretty much it. Because
Well, I mean,
Ivy League is the way to go.
in my experience,
That's what I always
I've
say.
just found. I don't think I've ever really dated anybody that didn't go to Ivy League. Okay, maybe one or two guys, and maybe they were just the exceptions.
From the privileged children of suburbia to hard-working homeowners in big cities, at least half of all African Americans can be labeled middle class. But despite all this educational and economic diversity, such class distinctions are often overlooked by a country that equates being black with being poor.
I don't know, like there was this one guy who said, was talking about something and he said epitome instead of like epitome. And it's just like, that can't happen because it's very embarrassing.
It's somehow more comfortable dealing with extremes. The jail to Yale stories. They had rats for dinner. The mother had 40 children by different men. Like that kind of crazy, and he ended up graduating head of his class at Yale. Oh, goodness, great. I think that's just where a lot of people are comfortable. I remember, when I was working at People, and a guy who, considers himself a card-carrying liberal who, wrote books about what a liberal he was, turned to me and said, "Oh, I know, you're Cosby Show black." And this is when the Cosby Show was on. And I know he wasn't trying to insult me. He thought he was giving me a compliment because he thought that meant he was really seeing me.
White people want to give you this backhanded compliment. They say things to you like, "Oh, you're so articulate." Or, "Oh, you really write well." One of my friends is a Stanford graduate, law school graduate, policy advocate, doing very well. And she mentioned that one of her coworkers said, "Oh, you write so well." Well, the assumption is, that she shouldn't be able to write well, but why shouldn't she?
I mean, I've always heard it before that, you're not like the other black folks. I mean, I heard that when I first started working, but you're not like the rest of them, and that probably offended me more than anything else.
These days, many upwardly mobile blacks have moved to the suburbs, far away from the poor and the working class.
This is my A. Julian book. I'll open it. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. I want to be able to help other people like doctors because they're good to people.
Yet, mindful of how race still rules in America, many upper-middle-class blacks have flocked to a small group of elite African-American social organizations. One of the most popular is Jack and Jill.
I'm gonna draw the swirl.
For 65 years, it served as a social incubator for the children of high-achieving parents.
Come on. No, you're cool, baby. You look good. You look good. You look good.
One exhibit shows, a lot of upper female body parts. They're just going to walk right by that one picture.
Jack and Jill was a place where a lot of us were expected to find our future spouses. There's no question about it. And I remember whenever the Jack and Jill Up the Hill yearbook would come out, my mom would come home from the meeting and we would go through it and see who we knew in different cities because it told what everybody was doing, particularly the graduating Jack and Jill students who are going off to like which colleges. And so we'd look to see, well, who's going off to our school? And when my brother went off to Tufts, we went to see, okay, who's going off and who will he know and who would he date and all that kind of stuff. And the thing about it is there's no question about it, that was going to be at least a part of the world from which we were going to find our future spouse.
You have to be invited to join. And if you don't meet the general group's criteria, you don't get invited.
I understand the purpose of...
But what seems comfortable to one group can seem exclusive to others, and conflicting viewpoints about clubs like Jack and Jill mirror the dilemma that the black middle class finds itself in.
Yeah, if we want to talk about class, Jack and Jill was a
Here
part.
we fought to be invited into the country clubs. Then we start our own club, and still we have to be invited. That's where the rage comes from.
Was not there an air of superiority with that? That came along with it, and that's the part I didn't like.
If you don't have an MD after your name, guess what? Your kid is not going to get in there. And that's the way it is today.
Or you're a single parent.
Or you're a single parent. Right. I talked to someone who was in Jack and Jill. I said, send me an application. Did I get one?
No.
So, and it's teaching them the wrong values. So it's teaching the children to be like the oppressor. If you're like them, then maybe they'll accept you. But it's never going to happen.
Debutante Morgan Gabrielle Brooks.
Unlike their white counterparts, middle-class African Americans have to balance their desire to move up with the need for racial solidarity in a country where skin color is still what is noticed the most.
A member of the National Honor Society, team secretary for Jack and Jill, her motto is, aspire to be the best for myself.
We're just normal people trying to do the same thing you're trying to do wherever you are, Hoboken or wherever, Warsaw. They're all trying for the same thing, to get up by your bootstrap, but you had to have boots first.
We should be encouraging our community to strive. Every group in America has come to America with the goal of becoming middle class. So why should we suddenly be the only group that identifies becoming middle class as this nasty word of calling bouginess? I think it's almost a reverse brainwash, that somehow attaining success means losing your roots.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Millennium Magic, Debutantes